L'Shem Hashem Na'aseh V'Natzliach. We know this week's parsha is EKEV. EKEV again is a real jackpot and treasure trove of so many practical mitzvot. But today I wanted to talk about prayer because we do it 3 times a day. And I want to talk about an amazing story that happened with my father and HaRav Ovadia Yosef Zatzal. We know that it says in the second paragraph of Shema, we have to serve God with all our heart and all our soul. Now, the Gemara in Ta'anit says, what specific action is this talking about? This is prayer. That we learn from here, serving God with all our heart, our soul, is that we have to pray to Him. Now, what's the story with my father and HaRav Ovadia? Today also the title of our Torah talk is how Kabalistic secrets to getting your prayers answered. Because only God knows how much unlimited and very specific things we need from God, like health, wealth, happy children, shalom bayit. Life is complicated and we need a variety of blessings, like it says in the beginning of the parsha. So the story is like this. Back in the year 2000, there was a Rav that didn't have even the understanding of a Gav. Gav means cow. This gentleman in the year 2000 in Westwood got up. Obviously, he was not observant really. And he said that the whole chas v'chalila, I should bite my tongue. He said that there was 2 archaeologists. It was the front page of the LA Times. He told his congregation that there were 2 archaeologists that spent many months in the Sinai desert. They didn't find any archaeological evidence of the Exodus. So therefore, this whole giving of the Torah and the Jews coming out of Egypt could have been a fairy tale. And like my Rebbe, Reb Tzvi says, these poor Iranian Jews that were in the audience, which was probably 60-70% of his clientele over there, they would have been better off staying at home and not even attending synagogue. At least they would have kept in their pure and innocent belief in the Torah as the impeccable word of God. Emet Toratenu HaKedusha. But anyways, when my father heard about this, he was a leader. He was very zealous for the honor of God. He was so mad. He says a chutzpah, audacity. Your job is to enlighten and make people closer to God, and then you come and say the Torah and the Exodus, the Jews coming out of the Egypt, is a fairy tale. So he would visit. My father loved Israel very much. So he went to HaRav Ovadia. He was saying, these non-observant Jews and their leaders, they are so anti-God and anti-Torah. We should wage some type of challenge against them, fight against them, undermine them somehow, so they don't poison the minds from the Persian Jews that for 2,000 years knew that the Torah is the impeccable, exact, verbatim word of God that Moshe wrote down word for word as a scribe. Emet Toratenu HaKedusha. Every word of it is real, as oxygen and water is, and even more fundamental than that. So Rav Ovadia told my father, Zatzal, Maran Malka, Hagaon, Nezer Israel, Tiferet Israel Ve'uzo, Geon Uzenu, told my father that relax. There's no reason to think that the non-observant Jews that were in the audience there are the enemy. And he told my father in the Siddur, we know we must pray 3 times a day, but before Shacharit, in the morning, right, when we say L'Shem Yichud Gudsha B'Richu, we say these words from the ARIZAL. Hareni mekabel alai mitzvat aseh shel v'ahavta l'recha kamocha v'hareni ohev et kol echad v'echad m'bnei Yisrael kenafshi v'moadi. I hereby accept upon myself the positive commandment of love your neighbor as yourself, and I decree that I love every individual Jew, which is part of the house of Israel, like myself and my possessions, and I hereby prepare my mouth to pray in front of the Almighty King of Kings. So Rav Ovadia said, the ARIZAL, Kabalistically, this will help your prayers be accepted. and we'll explain later why. But Rav Ovadia says, do you think when you say that you declare that you must love every Jew in your heart of hearts, like your own self, this is talking about somebody like these sages behind me that are so wise and angelic and selfless and altruistic and benevolent. To love a wise and tzaddik, chacham person is elementary. Rav Ovadia told my father, those non-observant Jews, it's true they're totally empty from the knowledge of God and observance, but that's no fault of their own. They were tinokot shenishba. It's specifically them. And he told my father these words: it doesn't matter how observant the Jew is, as observant as me and the chief rabbis of Israel, or as if he doesn't keep one single thing, zero. If the Jew doesn't keep one commandment of the Torah, this is what HaGaon Rav Ovadia, he said, you have to love him the same. You have to love every single one of them. And this was such a heartwarming story my father told me, that you see that the greatness of our sages, which probably the greatest genius of Torah that we had in the last 200 years was Rav Ovadia Yosef. But his love for God and the Torah was unlimited, but also his love for every Jew, the most simplest and non-observant Jew also, was as intense and as palpable as those. Now, why is this important that we must very clearly and distinctly do this, the ARIZAL says? Because we know we're living in a society of ADHD, and I don't mean to put labels on anybody or put anybody, but our people do not have any hosele. People, it's very hard for them to concentrate in every day and age. So we're talking to God, but our mind is 500 other places. So the ARIZAL giving us a Kabalistic shortcut, a Kabalistic secret. He says that loving every Jew, which is the most golden and fundamental rule of interpersonal relationships in the Torah, love your neighbor as yourself. When you have an intense love, you connect your soul to the collective soul of the nation of Israel. We're in the month of Elul, and the month of Elul teaches us something so fundamental, and that is Av, the month that we had the most greatest tragedies, the most horrendous and horrible and heartbreaking tragedies, is the month of Av, which is Father. Because the nation of Israel, make no mistake, it's one nation with one heart, with one internal capital, which is Jerusalem, with one guide, which is the Torah, and one God, which is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, and Moshe, and Yosef, and David, and Aharon. And when you tap into and non-judgmental and say any Jew, and the way Rav Ovadia is very clearly telling us, any Jew means any Jew. Doesn't matter he eats pork on Yom Kippur, as long as he's not doing it to make God angry. He just doesn't know. Ignorance is bliss. We're living in an age. Once you connect your soul to the collective soul of the nation Israel, with one heart and one soul and one mind, then, since there are people like these great sages or great Kabbalists, you piggyback on their prayers. But there's a caveat to that you have to love every Jew. Just like, and that's what I wanted to say, Chidush. We see that in the Torah, it says, it's very interesting. The second parsha of Shema that we read this week, everything is plural. So we see that the Grazal also says, he says, so many people are selfish when they pray. But every single prayer of the Amidah, of the 19 blessings we say every day, is collective. Refa'enu, God, may God heal all the nation of Israel. Barchenu, may God bless the entire nation of Israel. So, may Hashem help us to realize this very eternal truth. And it breaks my heart. I saw on Facebook, people were trying to compare Ashkenazim and Sephardim to Sunni and Shia. This is HaRav ben David, Maran ben David, my Rebbe said, told my father, whoever tries to divide the nation of Israel you should stop him in his tracks, because we are one nation with one heart, with one Torah, with one capital, with one guide, and therefore the Chazon Ish, just to say that prayer makes the impossible possible. Don't forget that, people. Prayer makes the impossible possible. So I was reading the autobiography of the Chazon Ish, and Rav Chaim Kanievsky has a book on tefillah. He says that his uncle, the architect of Torah and the builder of Torah in the nation of Israel, Rav Avram Karelitz, said that he put more effort, blood and tears into concentrating in prayer, even more than his Torah learning. And everybody knows that he was one of the deepest halachic, Talmudic authorities that we've seen in the last generations. And he told Rav Scheinberg this. He said, that's no coincidence why I was able to write on all the 6 tractates of the Talmud. There's no subject in halacha that the Chazon Ish didn't write. And the Chazon Ish used to credit that because he had unlimited blood and tears and sweat to just block out, concentrate purely with all his heart and mind, which was the essence of prayer is. Now, if we're not able to do that, at least when we love every Jew and we connect our soul to the soul of the collective nation of Israel, then we will merit to have all our heart's desires answered. And let's never forget that the true hallmark of a Jewish leader is not only that he loves the Torah, he has an unlimited and unpalpable and unexplainable colossal love for God and the Torah. But Yisrael ve'oraita ve'kudsha b'richuhu, there is a Jewish Trinity, which is the nation of Israel, the Torah, and God. And a true Jew is the one that loves all three with the same intensity. And may in that merit we see Mashiach, when we have an unlimited love for Torah, unlimited love for God, and unlimited love for every Jew, because we really need each other. Thank you for subscribing. Have a wonderful day.